This is the A to Z podcast. Expert insights on leadership, business, real estate, investing, and growth.
A globally recognized consulting company, McKinsey, say that AI could add trillions of dollars into the global economy. The question to you and me is, are we going to get some bite out of these trillions of dollars or not? Are we taking advantage of that or are we left behind? Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you three areas you can tackle to make your professionals, leaders, teams, culture, and organization AI ready. Before I proceed, I want to disclaim this is not about what's AI, how can you use AI best, AI models or frameworks, or even taking advantage of AI. That's not what we're going to cover. There are a lot of professionals, experts, and companies who can talk about this and support you. Today, we are using a human angle. How can you make ready yourself, your people, and your culture for AI? I want to give you three scenarios where companies are today. The first scenario would be those companies that are hesitating. They're not sure whether they should embrace AI or not. The second type, these are tiptoeing, they're not all in. And the third one, the one I want you to be, are all in. They are ahead of the curve. And if you're not like the third type of companies, you may be left out. That's why I want to share with you those three angles you could use to take advantage of the situation, the AI environment, and go all in to become successful in this era of AI. I want to take you back to the memory lane before COVID. And this period we are in is similar to that before COVID shut down the entire world. I still remember my last assignment. It was in San Francisco. I went there for a 3-day workshop for a core program for a government agency. Throughout the 3 days, me and participants, whenever we get a break, we are glued on the screen or on our cell phone, learning the news, the bad news that were coming in. We were worried, we were concerned. The news we hear about hospitals being jam-packed and the signs of COVID and how to protect yourself. And I remember there were two participants who were coughing. And we heard from the news, one of the signs is coughing. And I remember some of the participants nearby, they changed their seats. I don't blame them. They were concerned whether those two participants who were coughing were already, whether they already caught COVID or not. They were not sure. They sat a little bit far away. At one point, I was not sure whether we could be able to finish that 3-day workshop. I was not sure, but we finished. As soon as I returned back to Maryland, the city was closed by the mayor. I still remember. I felt lucky. Think about it. What if the city was closed while I was in San Francisco? I didn't have a base. Can you imagine the stress, the inconvenience, the financial burden to be in a city where you don't have anyone you know? You have to be in the hotel for the next couple of weeks at least. You can imagine where I would be. Somehow I got lucky. I left San Francisco and it was closed. Here are a couple of things I've done. I immediately returned home. The first thing I did was I evaluated the platforms we were using for webinars. We used to use Adobe Connect and WebEx, and many of the agencies or companies, they were requesting for 2-hour webinars, and we were using either WebEx or Adobe Connect, whatever they use. We didn't even have our own. We just used theirs, and we were providing those 2-hour, 1-hour webinars. That's it. And I looked at these platforms; they were not ready for what was coming. And I was considering. I have IT background, so I was considering other platforms, and I found Zoom more convenient, user friendly, and intuitive. For example, Zoom back then had breakout room camera. The other platforms, they didn't have. They may have now. They may caught up, even beat Zoom. I don't know. So I'm not condemning them now. But back then, they were not ready. For me, I'm a strategy guy. I project into the future. And therefore, I said to myself, okay, I just survived a catastrophic result. I would have been stranded in San Francisco. I survived that. But I want to be ready for what's coming. You see, today we're going to talk about AI ready. I wanted to be COVID ready. And one of the ways I wanted to be ready is all of these workshops, cohort programs, coachings that we have, we cannot do them in person. I didn't know whether shutdown will continue for one more week, one more month, 1 year, even more. I didn't know. The only thing I could do as a human being is to be ready, like I'm advising you in this work, in this conversation for AI. And then I paid premium fee to get Zoom. And the first thing I did was I told my clients, my friends, my colleagues, hey, look, we cannot no more meet in person. And the next best thing for us is Zoom. I stopped texting, I stopped emailing, I stopped calling. Why? I want to practice to be ready when the time comes. I have to use Zoom for virtual workshops. Some complained, but many of them understood, yeah, you're right. At least let's see each other while we're talking because we cannot meet in person. The second thing I did was I called every client and I told them, look, we don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, next year. And my suggestion is let's continue to have these programs virtually. Some resisted, but I convinced them. I told them, look, for example, if this continues for the next 6 months and even more, I don't want us to come back again 6 months from now and wasting 6 months for your people to grow and wonder whether the shutdown will continue for the next 6 months or not. Why not just continue the program? Actually told them, look, this is the best time to take care of your people. They are already disconnected. They feel isolated. This is a golden opportunity for them to grow while waiting for the market to open. And all of my clients said yes. And I talked to some of my colleagues. Some of my colleagues, they were not preparing for Zoom. When it was must to use Zoom, they needed technical support. I didn't need actually support to some of my colleagues. Second, they didn't convince their clients. So 20% of their clients said, yes, let's do it virtually. 25% said, no, we don't do it. We just wait until it opens. 50% said, we're going to postpone it at least for 3 months. The third thing we did was we created a program to make leaders ready for COVID. The first program was leading in a virtual environment. Once some of the organizations are opening up and the situation was hybrid, we came up with another webinar, leading in a hybrid workplace. Leaders, they didn't know what to do, how to make people accountable, how to keep the culture. They didn't know how to maintain the sanity of their people. And we came up with some frameworks, some strategies, some tactics they could use to lead their people virtually and then hybrid. And these programs were very popular. What I'm doing today and why we opened AI Leadership Center is the same thing. What we're doing is we're creating programs to make leaders ready for AI. And these are the three areas I want to propose you give focus and priority. One, convincing your people and make them ready. The second is empowering them to be ready. And the third thing is to work on your culture. Let's start first. According to Microsoft, the majority employees use AI. Now, I want you to think about your team, your organization. How many percentage of your people are using AI? Maybe 25%, 50%, 75%? We don't know. The critical question you should ask is how many percentage of your leaders are mentally ready? Remember in the past, there were leaders who didn't want to use digital cell phones like iPhone or Android. No, they were using this floppy analog cell phone. That was okay. Okay. That time, okay. It was not existential. They can stay analog. Okay. Some of them upgraded themselves into some others cell phones, BlackBerry and so on, while many transitioned into the latest ones, like the iPhone and so on and so forth. But it was not existential. Some people, they still use Hotmail. It's okay, they can survive. They're not using Gmail or Outlook. Fine. What I'm saying is lagging behind, fearing AI, hesitating, adopting AI is existential. You may not stay to tell the story, like the story, people who are still using Hotmail or people who are still using the analog, the flip cell phone. They survived. People who didn't use social media, they survived. Now, as a team, as an organization, you may not survive to tell the story. That's why first you start with your leaders. Are your board members, your shareholders, your top leadership, your leaders throughout the organization are buying AI? If they are hesitating, if they are tiptoeing, their people are watching, which means they may not adopt AI. And your competitors, they may beat you. If they use AI and make their people ready, their leaders ready, they may improve performance by 20%. You're cooked. There's no way you could be able to compete if they are beating you 20% productivity and performance just by using AI. You don't want to be left. That's why you have to have a change process. And you need to know how to lead this change so that your people are mentally ready. They're not resenting AI. They're not afraid of AI. They are friendly to AI. This transition, like any other transition that you do, for example, if you want to make a change from one platform, let's say from SQL to Oracle, or if you want to change from one sales platform to another one, you have a process and you do it properly to make the migration. The same way your people, your leaders need migration. And this is not a technology issue. This is you leading a change, preparing your people to be mentally ready for AI. Once they are ready, let's talk about the second thing. The second thing is about, okay, your people are ready, but are they capable? Are they empowered? Can you leverage AI? Because readiness is something, leveraging it another thing. And many organizations now, they are buying AI products. The question is this: can your people leverage the products, the subscriptions, the platforms that you have or not? Think about this. You can't have a state-of-the-art aeroplane right now, the best one in the world. But if you give it to a crew and also a pilot who never flew that aeroplane, would you be safe? Would you be able to exploit every amenities, power, potential of that plane? No. What about you bought Formula One race car and you give it to a guy with a learning permit? Could you be able to really maximize the use of that Formula One race car? No. That's the same thing. Investing in AI is not enough unless you invest in your people. The third and the final angle I propose you need to work on is culture. Some companies right now, some teams, they already have AI team members. They acknowledge them, they give them names. When they have a team meeting, you see their avatar and they have name, for example, Jenny. And in the meeting, somebody could say, okay, Jenny will do this, and Jenny will forward that to another human team member, Mark. Jenny is taking note and doing her part, emailing to Mark. They are part of the team. In the past, you've had only people and you have a culture, and it's easy to build a culture when you have human intelligence. But when you add artificial intelligence into the culture, what kind of culture is that? How can you create a culture which could be able to maximize this environment? Now, we are in the AI area. Believe me, after a while, we're going to have also robots, which means in your workplace, in your team, you have different inhabitants: humans, artificial intelligence, robots. And these robots and artificial intelligence, they don't have the same kind of characteristics of humans. But how can you create a culture where you could be able to create a vibrant culture which mingles all of these players, all of these inhabitants, and create a culture that performs, a culture that delivers? In conclusion, AI is already here. You cannot say, oh, I'm going to use my old analog cell phone or old email exchange platform, or I could stay off social media and survive. Now, you cannot professionally and in business wise and in the workplace, you cannot say, I can wait this out. You may be left behind. At least you may not be able to be the same again. That's why, on top of focusing on the technology side, which models to use, and empowering your people to excel in using these AI models, you need to work on your people in their mindset to accept it, in their mentality, and also in their skill sets, and most importantly, the culture. That's why we created AI Leadership Center. If you want to have conversation with us, I would love to hear your take. I would love to hear what you're doing and also see how we may support you. We have different programs. You can visit our website. I'll leave the website link in the description. Reach out and we would love to have conversation with you and see how we can support you. We are left with maybe a few months, a few years before we're left behind. We have to enter into a sense of urgency, do take action. And some of the actions should be on your people, on your teams, on your culture, so that you could become AI ready before your competitors do. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to see you with another video. Bye-bye.